Rozzero Connection and Wrestling Warzone patrons, welcome into Wrestling Warzone, a Minute of Wars podcast retrospective series. I'm JT, and joining me is my partner Chad. Chad, how are you?
Doing good. How's it going?
Good. Of course, a week ago right now, we were living it up on Broadway. You know, it's funny how week changes.
At a jam-packed Nashville Underground. Was that the name of the place?
Yeah, it wouldn't right now. I think we were just kind of settling in there.
Hanging from the rafters, monsoon.
That's it. We get to play some hoops anyway. I got my new hat on. There you go.
Yeah,
and you can see too if you're watching on the YouTube here, and I guess I should plug that. Of course, this podcast, simulcast, a few different places. We're audio on all podcast applications, except for those losers over at Spotify, which I've been seeing that there's problems with Spotify right now. Some people can complain it's down. It all started at the downfall with booting off the North South Connection. So check us out on all the better podcast apps on the North South Connection. Video right here on the North South Connection YouTube channel. We're closing in on 1,200 subs, which is pretty cool. So be sure to head over, spread the word if you haven't subbed yet. And also, you can watch us on our absolutely free Patreon. You can subscribe North South Connection, or I'm sorry, you just search Wrestling Warzone on Patreon, and you can go ahead and sub there. And Chad, I believe we may have a little special content coming, right?
Yeah, it should be hopefully some year-end content coming. Also, maybe a little nugget by the time this show drops. There should be something up that I'm going to try to record in the next couple of days that has a little bit of a Nashville tie-in.
Okay, very good. There you go. So be sure to keep an eye on that, subscribe. And one of the benefits of being one of our patrons is you can watch live as we record. We send the link out while we're recording. You can participate in the show. You can spread some comments. We'll read them on air. We got Everett already with us. We got Grooney. We got Ish. Says he loves us. He's 2 episodes behind. So he's not going to listen live because he doesn't want to be out of order. But go Dodgers. Nope. Go Lakers. Whatever. Follow me on Sora and YouTube. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Ish. He wants more 87 out of you, Chad. So get on that.
Sorry, it's not that.
You're gonna wait till 2027 to get the.
I'm actually finishing up March 1987 watching privately right now, and then Sayonara 1987 for a while. Moving on to 88.
You know what you got to do next year, though. We're almost it's almost GWE time. We're gonna do a little prep next year.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's
refresh,
GWE is in April supposedly. So.
The big one's back. What's that been? 10 years?
Yeah, it's every 10 years. So 2006 was the first one. 2016 was the one that broke the PWO message board, and now it's the 10-year reunion.
Will we see the return of Big Laugh?
I don't know. I may end up doing a list in the final minute, but definitely not going to be putting in the brain power and frustration that the last one caused.
Well, there may be a podcast here in the No-So that's going to do some GWWE content in 2026, and you can probably guess which one that is, so stay tuned there. And, of course, speaking of Parv and Big Lav, hopefully you check out over on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, the annual Place to Be podcast Christmas Extravaganza, another great one of the books that dropped on Christmas Eve, so be sure to check that out as well. Ish is out. He wants Masawa number 1, Bull Nakano at number 2, and Austin Idol or Steve Austin number 3. He didn't clarify.
Steve Austin. Steve called, but yeah.
So I did mention if you're watching on YouTube, you can see some artwork up in the corner. That's our official new logo, the Chad Campbell Obey. Be on the merch store soon if we get enough subs here, hopefully. So be sure to spread the word. Get us big time on TikTok and YouTube. We can start pumping some Chad Campbell merch out there. Yeah, Grooney wants a tea. All right, there may be some teas out there in the future. I did want to also call out, Chad. We're not starting with Raw, but this is WF 97 related for me anyway. Merriam-Webster dropped their word of the year for 2025. Did you see that word?
I unfortunately did. Big renaissance for them in 97 and
Slop is the word of 2025. I didn't know that was like a thing. Is that a thing? I would have guessed 6-7.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes it's like people say like, I guess like like a spot fest or like an action movie. It's like, oh, this so and so is slop, but it's enjoyable. But I never use it. But I'm not one of the kids these days, so
I mean. Look, I'm not saying I'm cool, but I'm at least around a lot of kids from coaching.
Yeah,
and I
I
have not
never
heard
heard
slop at
slop.
all. Like, that's
No,
not one at all. Like, I would have guessed
definitely
6,
hadn't
7.
heard slop.
I
Yeah.
would have guessed 6, 7 if I had to guess a word that was word of the year. But the Godwins, good for them, because we're, like you said, we're in prime Godwin Renaissance in '97. So it was very fitting when I saw that before the show. All right. So why don't we
That
dive
may have
in?
been the song we was listening to this time a week ago.
It's about similar. Similar. We could have requested the guy with the big
Yeah, with the stand-up bass that he's playing behind his head. Well,
all
Wild
right.
Bill, right? Wasn't
Wild
his
Bill.
name?
Wild
Yeah,
Bill.
Wild Bill
And
and the
the
Bruisers.
what was it? Wild Bill and the what? Maniacs? Machines?
Bruisers.
Bruisers, that's right. All right.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, they were great. Everyone was great, honestly. All the bands we saw were really good. Cowboys and Hippies. I want to ship off with them someday.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive in. We're on the August 11th, 1997 Monday Night Wars. This is the fallout from Road Wild, and we're a couple weeks post SummerSlam now, and it's a big Raw as we're kind of marching toward Ground Zero.
Yep.
So we're going to start at Nitro because we're coming off the pay-per-view. So I'll hand it over to Chadley, and we'll get going.
Yeah, so we're in Denver, Colorado at the Denver Coliseum.
Already? I thought we were going next year.
No, we're there. We're there. A different arena, but we're there. So we get a cold open tonight, and we see backstage security and Doug Dillinger handing a document to the Giant. And we don't quite know the contents of this document, but the Giant looks kind of pissed off at it and stomps off. Then we get our usual opening and the pyro, and then for some reason they drug Michael Buffer out here to the middle of Colorado to do the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" intro.
You think he was there for was he doing UFC yet or anything like that? Like,
I mean, he never did. Maybe there was a boxing around this time. I didn't look, but
yeah, he never did UFC.
I mean, as much as his per appearance was, this felt like a wasted one. We probably could have kept in the holster here.
Was he at Road Wild? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think.
So made us roll the hogs down to Denver with him?
I guess he was at World. I think he was at Road Wild. I'm pretty sure.
Who knows where he lived, too? He
runs together.
Lives over here. You know what I mean? Like,
well, so he says, "Let's get ready to rumble." We'll get the pyro and the fire, and then the
he was definitely there because he had the fucking hat on, the leather hat.
Oh yeah. The Nitro girls dance us in too. So we get everybody to open us up here tonight. Commentary talks about Hogan regaining the belt as the NWO main theme fires up. Out comes the Wolf Pack. As they were coming out, they showed a guy dressed as Sting in the crowd. I was surprised the announcers didn't think that was the real one. As
I know, right?
Fooled by everybody else. I mean, anybody that looks close to Sting, they should probably think it's legit. But Tony runs down the card right here, straight up at the top. Says it's going to be Savage versus Hennig in hour number 2. The Steiners versus McMichael and Benoit. Ultimo Dragon versus Mortis. Mean versus Raph. Jericho versus Eddie Guerrero, and we'll hear from Ric Flair later. So, I mean, this is we talked about it leading up to this, but this is an interesting kind of dynamic here for the Monday Night Wars. Is now we get this unopposed hour for Nitro, and then we'll get it on the back end with Raw. But Raw actually goes against the replay of Nitro.
Right. Yeah.
A little bit of an interesting dynamic, and we'll have to track and see if we think like WCW kind of starts punting that hour like we thought they did. Remember when they went from 1 hour to 2 hours? It felt like that first hour a lot of times was a bunch of filler. That was kind of our VK Wall Street, Jim Duggan special hour. So that was something I wanted to track. But, big names coming out here first. 6 lets us know the Outsiders are still the champ. Hall says we're going to get right to it because in the NWO, we believe in giving the people what they want. We know that everybody here and watching at home is watching for one reason only. And say it with me, everyone. It's because of the NWO. The more things change, the more they stay the same. We went into Sturgis and told everybody that the Outsiders were the best tag team on the planet. Now, some people say the Steiners are, but somebody needs to tell DiBiase to go tell those Einsteiners that if you're so good, why aren't you the champs? And then Nash says he's going to keep it real short and sweet, that with the NWO, Hollywood, and the Wolfpack, they are all just too sweet. So pretty basic promo here, but you know those guys kind of chopping it up, always entertaining. The
Especially when they say
Steiners,
Einsteiners always hits.
Steiners is the best. Uh, the uh, the Steiner brothers music fires up, but we don't get them coming out of the entranceway as we get David Moore and Bobby Starr,
A couple of
who we learn,
slovenly looking jobbers.
who we learn are going to be the opponents for the Outsiders tonight. This is just a quick squash where the Outsiders punk out both of these guys. Hall gives a super backdrop suplex from the top rope, and then the jackknife powerbomb ends it for Nash and a half a star. Only other note I had on this match was in the beginning of the match. Tony lets us know that once again they've reviewed the tape and they've realized it was not the real Sting that attacked
Fucking geniuses.
with the bat. So I'm glad they came to that conclusion when they reviewed the tape. That was painfully obvious for anybody watching the tape. Now I didn't quite understand if they're gonna go that far. I don't know why they didn't also like speculate that it was Hall that was dressed up as
Right.
Sting.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. Overall, as a segment, I mean, this is again kind of like a bit we've seen before where the outsiders punk out a jobber tag team. I don't know if you got anything to say about the match before we get to the post match.
You know, the promo and the match were both kind of classic NWO. I love when these bumps roll out for the match. And yeah, you get Tony course correcting right away. Like, it almost made you wonder if they fucked up. If, like, they weren't supposed to be that vapid about it. And because they correct it really fast here. They're like, oh, we've been correct. It's the wrong. So, like, I don't know if they just like went off script or got screwed up or that this was the plan. I mean, which is also possible. It just seems like they're really fast to correct everything. But yeah, it's like a welcome to the party situation. Tonight says the Outsiders are the luckiest champions in history. So yeah, just a squash. I want a quarter star of the match.
So Nash after the match yells, you know, bring somebody else, suit somebody else up. They're not ready to leave yet. Hall's calling for somebody too. And we see the Steiners and DiBiase come through the crowd. They hit the ring. I thought this was a good little brawl. The Steiners clean house, and looks like this feud's still continuing. So I know this has been a pretty long-standing feud, and it looks like we're getting more of it at some point.
Yeah, I like that the brawl was brief. They didn't need to drag it out.
Yeah.
And the Steiners, you know, at least get the upper hand once. But yeah, this is the problem with them not winning. I know, you know, we talked about it. The Outsiders pulled the power play, but it's like, now where do you go? Like where do you go with this team? Like they've had a bunch of shots. This feud's been going since January.
Yeah,
you've already dick teased them a couple times with, you know, fake outs on winning. So like, what do they do? And we know kind of where the Steiners are headed. I guess it just sucks that they don't really get that moment before that. And this is it. But honestly, where they go with it was kind of their only option when you look at it. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't really have another choice at that point because what else are you going to do with them?
Yeah. I think maybe a very limited run, but it was getting long in the tooth, so it's time to do something. The announcers reset us back from break. Larry lets us know he has no idea what happened with the Giant. He was like, I was out here with you when Tony asked him. I did notice we didn't get any Larry chants from the Denver crowd, so he wasn't able to do his
AWA. Wasn't Denver a big AWA territory?
It's a little bit late. I mean, really, his time frame.
Yeah, they were running Denver a lot.
Denver, yep. So probably still remembered him as a heel, so maybe that's why he didn't get the best face reaction from the Denver fans here. Now we get a match that's pretty interesting. It's Ming versus Raph. Raph beat Barbarian last week.
I get excited when I saw this one.
Ming's trying to exact some revenge for his Faces of Fear brethren. Ming meets him right in the entrance. They brawl around back in the ring. Ming gives a big boot, and the clothesline sends Raph to the outside. They brawl a bit on the outside. Ming gets sent to the guardrail. Raph gets a somersault body block off the apron. Larry goes, does he think he's Rey Mysterio Jr.? Raph also climbs to the top and gets crotched off of that. Second rope superplex by Ming gets two. I thought Raph hit a good back elbow and a second rope clothesline. Big boot from Raph gets two. But Ming kind of out of nowhere locks on the tongue of death, and Raph is pinned, which I was a little surprised by that finish. wasn't too big a fan of that. Mortis and Barbarian both run out. And we get another kind of quick brawl here. So this was a pretty quick match, but I thought it was a lot of fun while it lasted. Pretty big, beefy match. And I'll say this, I don't know, maybe Slump or somebody could put me in my place, but I think this Wrath is got to be the best, like most motivated Brian Clark ever.
Oh yeah,
career. Like he looks like a monster. His power moves look good. His strikes look good.
It's his whole. I think it's his whole WCW run, because I think Chronic is pretty well regarded, like in their WCW days at the time. Like I remember they like the internet was like into them. So yeah, I think it's this entire run. He's pretty motivated because there's a lot of anger when we see kind of how it ends, like how this streak ends. Like it was, a lot of people pissed off at the time. But like I'm digging this. I really like these guys. I like this as a feud. Like it's a nice break from the usual Blood Runs Cold Glacier Wars. Like I like these guys as becoming integrated into the company now. Like we're not just in their own little world, because they can go. And like I'm actually really excited for an eventual, which I'm assuming we're gonna get, Mortis and Wrath versus the Face of Fear tag match. Like it feels like that'll be something fun. It's a really good use of Face of Fear, and I was shocked too that Ming is pretty well protected. They like him a lot, especially with the tongue and death grip. But I was definitely surprised that he pinned Wrath clean. Like, because when Wrath eventually has that big loss that we kind of referenced, I thought he was undefeated going into that, and that was the whole friggin' thing when they. So I don't have to do a fake streak like later for him, but this is as clean as it gets. Like just loses to Ming. So, but I went 2 1/4. Like this is my jam, obviously.
Yeah, good, fun little short match here. WCW Saturday Night this weekend. Another pretty big lineup, I'd say, for them. Diamond Dallas Page, Kurt Hennig, Alex Wright, and then another Ric Flair promo. Gene brings out the Steiners and DiBiase. Rick says the ending doesn't matter. It was the best time of his life out there. He got to wrestle the NWO. That him and Scott are gladiators, and what gladiators do, they fight. Scott says Hall and Nash at Sturgis were 2 beaten men. That's why Nash had to pull the ref out. They will reload, and they want another shot at the Steiner or at the Outsiders. Then DiBiase. Oh boy, this one. We go off the rails a little bit here. So DiBiase says we did come to whine and cry, but to take care of business. We did come to make a statement, though, and so he proceeds to whine here after he says he's not. He says it's Saturday at Sturgis. Hall and Nash got out-wrestled, out-classed, and out-fought. But he wants to know, Nick Patrick, what were you thinking about? He says he left the NWO voluntarily, but Nick Patrick was kicked out, and maybe he's trying to make amends with them. And he calls for Nick Patrick to come out. Nick Patrick does come out. He says that he let the match go as long as he could, but once that Nash put his hands on him, he had to call for the bell. And then Patrick takes a shot at Randy Anderson. It calls him to question.
Yeah, that was funny.
It says he wants to know what he was looking at when Luger got hit with the bat and he still made the count. Gene lets us know that, it sounds like we got some inconsistency going on with the officiating. And DiBiase says that they got Hall and Nash running scared. They don't know when or where, but it's coming. So I don't know. This whole like Nick Patrick retread to me was a misfire. I don't think we needed that. As we mentioned during the finish of that match, DiBiase looks like a goof, and him doubling down here tonight didn't help matters. So he just looks very uncool and annoying, to be honest. So I
don't know who, man. Like how many wrestlers have gone from like cool motherfucker to just like an uncool relic as fast as DiBiase? Like that run as managing the corporation just completely destroyed him, because even with the NWO, he's kind of the least cool. Like when he's with the NWO of the group,
he don't do a whole lot, as we noted when he was in the NWO.
He sits in the fucking.
He at least shut up. I mean, the main thing like now is him talking.
Yeah,
it's just like, dude. Like, I mean, obviously they interfered. Like, I mean,
he's kind of a one-trick pony with the $1 million man stuff. I was like,
I don't know, because I'm watching his. Right, like I said, I'm finishing up in '87, right before he leaves for WWF. And he's so good as a babyface in UWF as like a fired up babyface, like standing tall. That I don't know what happened. Like
A lot of
him getting
drugs probably
religion
fried him.
made him a pussy or what? I don't know. But
Yeah,
it's
drugs and drinking probably fried his brain too a little bit, like because he's just not. Yeah,
there's
this
just
is
no edge, I would say.
he's just not a good fit with them. Like I thought it at the time, and I still think it now. I'm trying to give it a chance, but it's like I don't know. Like we're so close on the doorstep of like Big Papa Pump, and like he's with Ted DiBiase as a manager. And like it's just so weird to look at. You know what I mean? Like it's just doesn't
Yeah.
reconcile. Rick also has a weird ramble about wanting to bite ears, but his ears are covered. Like I get he was trying to probably make like a Tyson reference, but it's just kind of all over the place. So that's annoying. Yeah, the ref stuff is whatever. We know like it's going somewhere again with Patrick, obviously, but it's like we've kind of been there, done that. And then DiBiase is the one who brought up the officiating. And at the end, he goes, I don't care about Anderson Luger or anybody else. I only care about the sign. Well, you're the one who fucking brought everything else up.
You're the one that called him out there. So
Yeah, like what are we doing? Yeah, not a fan. The Steiners just feel like it's funny because WCW always have this loaded roster. They go, but like as we've seen, there's a bunch of guys that really need some change. Like Eddie got his change, but like, and Jarrett kind of finally got his. Benoit got out of that fucking Sullivan feud, but now we got like Jericho, who we're going to talk about in a second. Like he needs something. The Steiners desperately need something. So like, there's a few people still lingering around that just like need some sort of change.
yeah. All right, Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Jericho. Before they come out, we see a Nitro Rules Raw Rules side in the crowd.
Doug Dillinger definitely handed that out before the show.
Quick start for Jericho with some drop kicks and a press slab. Eddie's bumping crazy in this match. He is just bouncing all over the ring. Takes powder to the outside after a spinning kick. He gets a cheap shot and goes on the attack with a drop kick. Jericho makes his comeback, but Eddie's able to get his knees up on the lion salt. Larry critiques Jericho a bit for delaying a second before he went for the lion salt. Huge release German by Jericho. Again, Eddie bumps right on top of his head. Big Tiger driver. Jericho is looking more vicious, I think, in this match, but I think that's mostly just a virtue of Eddie bumping more than what he's actually doing. Procedural wise, but this is a clean night for Jericho, no botches, so that's an improvement too. He tries to go for the lion tamer, but it isn't able to be locked in. So Jericho does a giant swing, which I thought was an interesting move to improvise to. And they both really sell the dizziness. Eddie rolls to the outside, but gets hit with a slingshot crossbody. And I thought Tenay had a cool commentary note with both of them being still dizzy and out of it that could be prolonged due to the high altitude in Denver. So I thought that was a real good commentary tidbit from Tenay there. Jericho gets sent to the mat. Eddie does a great frog splash. It looked pretty dangerous because, I mean, Jericho was very close to the ropes, and Eddie just kind of nailed him with the frog splash and picks up the clean win here. So good win for Eddie. Good match. Good performance for Jericho. I really enjoyed this. Not a long match again, but probably like 5 or 6 minutes. They packed a lot of action, and like I said, Eddie was bumping, and his attitude changed. Everything since that, he has been such an improvement. In the very early goings of Nitro, he was kind of the workhorse on the show, and then he just felt like he was stuck in the wilderness forever. So it's really refreshing to see him kind of revitalized and have stuff going on, and still be able to put on good matches like this with the character performance being up as well. So I went 3 stars here. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, that's really good. Larry talks a bunch about Nick Patrick, says it's smooth of him to kind of pass the spotlight to Randy Anderson and hide what maybe he had going on. We got a plug for the encore. And Tony really goes in, says all the momentum from last week is gone thanks to Sturgis. It was a tough night for WCW fans. So, we saw them maybe feeling like they were going to break through. We got a stumbling block. So we'll kind of see where we go from here with the overall feud. But yeah, I like that giant swing. I had that note that Tenay said as well. That was cool. We'll have to keep that in mind if we go, right? No giant swings. But this is really fun. I mean, Jericho needed this. Like, even in the loss, he got a lot of offense. He was moving well. The pace was good. No botches. Like, it was a good night for him. And Eddie gets a hard-fought, clean win. No nonsense. So I went 3 as well. This is a a quick match, but definitely a little borderline hidden gem for us on TV here.
Yeah. So the Nitro girls dance, and Alex Wright comes out and dances with them again. It's the same as last week. Gene interviews Alex Wright. He speaks some German. Gene tells him to speak English. Alex Wright says, I told you last week, I talked to the people that matter first and then the ones that I couldn't care less about. He says, look at the losers out there. You're all jealous of him because he's a fantastic wrestler, great looking, an unbelievable dancer, and the cruiserweight champion. So I don't know if you'd agree with all four of those attributes that Alex Wright bestowed upon himself, but pretty basic interview here.
Yeah, he's another guy that needed a change if you're going to use him, and he's done well as kind of the aloof heel. Larry says Wright would make a great Nitro girl, but not a great champion. That was funny.
So before we get to our next match, Tony lets us know Nitro is number one because you see the greatest wrestlers in the world. So there you go. Our next match is Dean Malenko versus Jeff Jarrett. So it looks like their kind of union partnership is short-lived after Jarrett kind of hung him out to dry at Road Wild. Malenko socks him right away. Big Jarrett sucks chant from the crowd. As we've seen, Jarrett's been one of the ones that's consistently gotten pretty good heel heat in the last few shows here. Jarrett's able to lure Malenko to the outside, but Malenko regains the advantage with a big leg lariat once they go back inside. Jarrett's stalling a lot, bailing a lot of Memphis heel stuff here. But Mongo is looks like Jarrett's going to retreat. Mongo's at the entrance as we head to break to make sure he can't escape. Back from break, Deborah gets placed in front of Jeff Jarrett, and then he is able to gain the advantage off of that. He sends Malenko into the steps. We get the shield from today of tickets coming up, Fall Brawl in Winston-Salem, going on sale tomorrow. Then we get a September 22nd Nitro at the E-Center in Salt Lake City. And at Smith's Tix locations, you can meet DDP and Kimberly.
Jared Robin.
Yeah, I guess that's the burger chain.
It has to be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you gone on one of those?
Yeah. There's one noon in about 30 minutes from here. I enjoy it. I get the bonsai burger.
Yeah, they're pretty good. You get the bottomless fries. And
bottomless sides now all the way. So you can't gimmick it because the kids get bottomless sides too. So here's a little pro move. Get 3 different sides, and then y'all can just keep rotating the bottomless sides and get a little buffet there.
I was a little sad they didn't plug the going to the Beer Hive in Salt Lake City. I'll give a shout out. It's a great bar.
So Jarrett gets some drop kicks, tries to go for the figure 4, working over the leg of Malenko. Tony says he lets us know that the War Games at Fall Brawl is going to be NWO versus WCW, but we don't know the participants yet. Larry says he hopes it works out better this year than last year. Malenko makes his comeback. He locks in Jarrett in the cloverleaf, but Eddie Guerrero comes down and beats up Dean Malenko, and then Jeff Jarrett joins him until Mongo comes in for the save and cleans house here. So that was pretty cool. I went 2.5 on this match, and then we got just a little bit of teasing, I would say, afterwards, where so Mongo kind of saved, Jarrett and Eddie retreat, and then Mongo extends his hand to Dean Malenko, but Malenko kicks Mongo and kind of beats him up. On commentary, they say, like, he's not trusting anyone now after he got screwed with Jarrett. Larry says Mongo doesn't need another enemy, so they brawl around a little bit. Mongo bails to the outside. Then he tells the camera that Dean's as tough as a nickel steak, and he has respect for that. So this really feels like foreshadowing of what was supposed to happen with Malenko. Eventually does, but I think probably a lot sooner than it ends up happening because of the Flair Bischoff stuff, probably.
And that would make sense with him not trusting anyone, and then he finds backup or whatever.
Yes. So I like this match. I thought the match had some kind of interesting flavor too. I like that they went right ahead and had it as kind of like a little bit of a blow off of that partnership, and seems like we have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, Larry, they talk a lot about like the NWO won a bunch of stuff in the War Games, but wasn't that uncensored where they won the stuff?
Yeah, that was uncensored. They won the they kept getting confused here. So Larry mentions they won here, and then I know later they talk about the concessions that the NWO had to make or something, but it seemed like they lost the plot on what they actually won when the stipulations was. As we mentioned, those kind of went by the wayside anyway, so I don't really know why we're bringing them up.
Yeah, they talk. I think they talk about it a bunch in the bill. They keep referencing it, and it's random. Yeah, the match itself was good. This kind of random carousel with Eddie and Jarrett and Dean, like we're kind of spinning around, but it's been interesting enough. It's better than what Jarrett was doing, and it does feel like yes, they're teeing up something with maybe Malenko needing backup that he can trust, right? And then maybe that's where this starts to leak into. But I don't think this ever got in full gear because of what was going on around it. But I went 2 1/4, and I think it was perfectly fine.
All right, and we get another Flair and Kurt Hennig interview. Flair's wearing a crazy like Carolina blue sweater vest, looks like a professor here. Grandpa Flair coming out. Flair says a minute ago he wants to clarify something because he saw Hennig was talking backstage to one Eric Bischoff. And Hennig says, he had business with Bischoff. Flair says, I've known you since you're 15. Mongo and Benoit are also out here with him. Flair says, you've had an opportunity to be a horseman. We want to know if you were in place. Hennig again kind of waffles back and forth, says he doesn't mind the question, but he's in the main event with Savage tonight. He's not saying he's not a horseman, but he's also not saying he is a horseman. So, again, toeing the line there. Flair said that he should show them tonight why he can be a horseman. Flair says that you, the horseman, will then go on to Nashville to take on Six and Conan at the Clash of the Champions. Hennig confirms that he will be Flair's partner there, but he also clarifies that doesn't mean he's calling himself a horseman. Flair says that nobody hates Savage more than him, so show him again why he can't be the horseman. Hennig says, how does a guy like him do it so easily? So, again, more kind of swooning here for Hennig. Right. I thought this one was, I don't know, like the personality with Flair, there's still charisma there, but I hate bringing stuff up with 87, but I'm just watching where like they kick Ole Anderson out and make Lex Luger an official member of the Horsemen. And my God, like the thought of like Flair basically begging somebody to be in the Horsemen after like Luger had to basically earn his stripes in that feud. It just reeks of like desperation. So I don't like it.
Well, because at this point, it's not about the Horsemen; it's about the NWO, and that's where this is going. So it's like this angle started like 2 weeks too early, and we get where they're going ahead of War Games, but it's like we don't need a promo every fucking week. You can just like tell a story from the back. You know what I mean? Like, Flair's still waiting on Hennig's answer, or like whatever. Like we don't need him out here. It's the same as the Jarrett stuff. It's the same as the Benoit Sullivan stuff. And they're WWF's doing the same shit right now because this is also new. This live, nonstop paced weekly. Like they feel like they got to get everything every week, right?
Yeah, Kane's coming.
And that's changed more in the newer days, and it was definitely not the way of the old days, like where you go weeks sometimes, like where that was. We used to complain about it a little bit actually with Raw, right? Like, how do you not have Shawn Michaels on every week, right? Like, it was the same shit.
Yeah.
Now we've gone the other way, but it's like you don't need to have Flair and Hennig talk every week. We didn't need Benoit and Sullivan talking every week. Like we don't need everything every week. And that's the problem is this is starting to feel old already. And it's like, okay, just make a fucking decision. But then again, why should he make a decision? Maybe he doesn't want to. So stop asking him every fucking week on TV,
Yeah, they could have just, I think it's just some editing would go a long way here because you could have done maybe a quick hit where like Flair asked him to be his partner at the Clash.
Right.
Hennig accepts. And then you get something like Flair saying, okay, I'll show you at the Clash, like why you want to be with the Horsemen or something like that. And that's the end of it. But yeah, you've asked him. And how many times are we going to hear Hennig say, I'm not saying I am in the Horsemen, but I'm also not saying I'm not.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, all right, we got it, dude. Like,
you can tell at this point they're dragging it for a reason, So, Gene does comment about Greg Maddox getting $57 million as a free agent. How much was that when he left the Cubs, or did the Braves re-sign him? He was with the
No,
Braves.
the
already.
Braves re-signed him. Yeah.
What would he get
We-
now in '97?
Oh God. Well, that's
3 something.
have I ever disclosed to you my Kevin Brown lore? The pitcher Kevin Brown.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay. So I work with Kevin Brown's daughter-in-law, which is an interesting, weird little nugget, but it's always interesting that like he made like $100 million or whatever.
Yeah, tell me he could have won fucking Game 7 of 2004. It would have been fucking nice for all that money.
He's still holding that over him. All right.
Yeah,
Easy.
I am, because I still got to hear about it with idiots like
Easy.
2004 ain't guilty ass.
Easy.
Maddox would definitely get. I mean, what, 400, 500? I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be. I mean, this is 97. So Smoltz won the Cy Young in 96, but Maddox had won 4 in a row, and Maddox still was great in 96. Definitely could have won in 90. I mean, like his 96, 97, 98 are absolute elite too. So. All right, over to
like Alex Verdugo probably made 57 million last year.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Sure somebody.
And that's not 57 a year.
Verdugo was with the Braves, so I know
that's 57 total. How many? What contract was it? 4 years, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, he might have got 57 for the contract.
Let's see. Let's look it up.
I mean, Ozuna got more
5 years, 5 and 57 with a $3 million signing bonus.
Yeah. Well, a long time ago.
Trent Grisham just got 20 million qualifying off.
Long time ago, my friend. I think it's even worse with the NBA. There's literally NBA players that are getting 15, 18 million. They're like 7th on the chart.
Oh yeah, what's LeBron probably gets over 57 a year, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, right. So Bischoff comes out on his hog. With Scott Norton following him. Tony lets us know the match is supposed to be Scott Norton versus Giant. Bobby's now on commentary. He lets us know he don't know what was handed to the Giant earlier either. Bischoff says they got some important business to take care of first.
Well, and also first. Bobby is like, he's like, everyone's very, he always says is like, what's going on? He's like, everyone's very quiet backstage. The doors are closed and nobody's talking. He's always trying to.
With Bobby, either everybody's talking from the airport
to
everybody, or no one's talking. It's one or the other. Very
quiet. I just picture Bobby walking down the hallways, trying to listen for gossip.
He never says who is his stooge? Woody, he would say.
Woody, he never mentions the stooges anymore.
Yeah. So Bischoff says first things first. I told you Luger would pay. At this point, like Hall, Buff, Vincent, and Six come down. I don't know where Nashville is. Like he may have done hit the bricks. But they say, congratulations, Hollywood. You are the new world champion, and we love you for it. The tag team champs are in control again, and the NWO is stronger than ever. They have a very special message for their buddy who's filming in Montreal. He's making a movie right now, and they have a special arrangement they would like to do. They sing happy birthday to Hogan. We get a big Hogan Fears China sign in the crowd that somebody holds up right in the hard cam view. Eric says he made it clear to J.J. Dillon that his message to the Giant and Denver's finest were able to give him that message tonight, that it was a restraining order of 50 feet. He said that Giant's attorney can dig out his crayons and draw him a picture of that, and that Larry Zbyszko might be next. And at this point, Buff basically walks out, and wherever 50 feet was, he draws a line with some spray paint and writes big 5-0 there. He also says that he has a right to the broadcast booth, but they will talk about that next week. And Giant comes out, but Larry Zbyszko and J.J. Dillon are out kind of behind the Giant. They try to talk him off the ledge, say, don't do it, don't waste your time, etc. But he steps over the line, ends up getting arrested by Dillinger and Denver's finest. But we find out the cuffs don't fit him. Giant, I don't know. it was weird, like the way the Giant acted here. I didn't know if he was trying to come off being cool like Nash was or what.
Right.
But he's basically like, "I'm going to jail." Like he throws
Yeah.
his
It seemed
hands
like
up
it.
in the air. It was a little weird.
Well, he
But
kind of
yeah,
riffed
so,
with JJ, so maybe like JJ was like, "Just go, we'll get you out," or whatever the fuck, you know.
yeah. Then he gives like the "Rrr," JJ acts all frightened when he gives the choke slam symbol or whatever. But then probably my favorite part of this whole thing is when Hall sneaks up behind everyone as they're leaving, and Larry Zbyszko's in the back, and he sneaks up behind Larry, throws the toothpick at him, and then throws his NWO shirt at him. And Larry just looks so pissed off and throws the NWO shirt back at him as we head to break. So I don't know. Overall, I guess an effective segment. I don't. It's a little weird. It feels like with Giant, we're kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern.
Feels like he's
Like
done
him
nothing
versus Bischoff is.
since
I
Spring
don't know.
Stampede. It feels like he's done nothing. Like since
Well,
he,
him and Luger, I'd say him and Luger's the tag was nice for the bash, but
yeah, but even that felt more Luger centric. Like it feels like he's been since he handed that title shot to Luger at Stampede. It feels like he's kind of been backburnered as like the guy, like as they focused on Luger and Sting. But yeah, this is fine. I like Larry just being like now part of the team, like to defend WCW. Like he's edging toward, like he kept saying he doesn't want to be involved, you know, whatever, but he keeps edging toward you know, being a bigger piece of it. So that's cool. Yeah, the Hall stuff was funny. I think the restraining order is a fine idea too. Like Bischoff's funny. The singing to Hogan's, whatever. Like you're gonna get that. Bischoff has that weird tick too, where like it's almost like he has to say, "Well, we'll get to that next week." It's like, why even bring it up then? Like it just makes it feel a little bit more scripted. I don't know. Like he's like,
tease
"Oh,
for next week.
well," and he says stuff that's like no one gives a fuck about. He's like, "Oh, we got to write to the announce booth too, but we'll get to that next week." It's like, okay, do it
I
now
care
if it's such a
deeply
big
about
fucking deal.
that.
Why are we waiting for next week? You know?
Care deeply about that. Tuning
Yeah,
in
he does
next
do a
week
couple
to
more
hear.
things too, where he's like, you know, we'll get to that next week. It's like, okay, either talk about it now, like why are we talking about next week?
Nitro Girls number 3. The announcers reset. Bobby said he warned everyone that they need to be careful gloating that the NWO would have a plan. Then we get the Steiners versus Benoit and Mongo. Mongo and Scott power matchup to start. Sidewalk slam from Mongo. Scott comes back with a belly to belly. Benoit and Rick comes in as we run down some new on sale dates again with tonight, where September 15th, Nitro's coming to the Independence Arena. And what a crew we have here at the Blockbuster. It'll be Ric Flair with John Boy and Billy. So what a trio there you can meet. And October 6th, Nitro is coming to the Target Center in Minneapolis, and you can meet some Minneapolis wrestling legends. Mean Gene, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Kurt Hennig. They'll be at the Target Center box office.
It's weird too. They say Blockbuster music, and it wasn't like a Blockbuster video. It was interesting.
Yeah. Did you have a Blockbuster music? Because we had both for a short time.
No.
Okay.
We were mainly Strawberries and then FYE.
Yeah, because we never had Strawberries down south.
Yeah, Strawberries is a big one up here. Newberry Comics, obviously. FYE, and I think there's another one. But we did not have Blockbuster music, just Blockbuster video. South Park,
like
you would
CD
think
Warehouse and Blockbuster music was the main ones I remember.
You would think South Park Mall would be in Denver, but it was not.
The Target Center there on October 6th. So Steiner's work over Benoit. Scott applies a STF to him. Benoit comes back with a snap suplex, brings in Mongo. Mongo works over Rick, but gets caught in like kind of a flash knockout blow power move here, which you didn't see much, but I kind of liked as a finish. Where Rick dumps him right on the top of his dome with a belly-to-belly suplex. So again, it felt abrupt, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought this was a good little power matchup, 2.5 stars.
Did you notice Mark Madden with Harlem Heat and Jackie in that online chat? Early Mark Madden appearance.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought Mongo really got knocked cold, honestly. Because they go to that, like you said, it was an abrupt finish, and that belly to belly is kind of rough. Like he may have really gotten knocked out, and Benoit he gets to the ring and he looks a little concerned for him when he steps in. So I think there's a chance Mongo like was out of it, and that's why they went home when they did. But it was fun while it lasted. I mean, if they had another 10 and really let it rip, like this could have been a cool clash or pay-per-view match. Steiner's got a big win. And they should have done this. We didn't need the DiBiase legal snafus earlier. Like, just let him come here and kick the shit out of some guys, you know? Mongo maybe dead. We don't know. 2.5 stars.
Lex Luger interview with Mean Gene. Lex said he'd be lying if he didn't say last week was the happiest night of his career, but he also would be lying if he didn't say Sturgis was a great disappointment. But it'll only be a disappointment for a short while. Last week was the turning point for WCW. Friend and foe came together, as that has always been the strength of the NWO and Wolfpack, and last week can be used as a building point for WCW. Gene, once again, wants to question the officiating, but I like Luger's stance here. Lex says that, he talked to Randy Anderson. They're cool, and he wouldn't be standing as a champ last week if Randy wasn't quick to ring the bell if interference started happening. He did his job, and he did his job as he saw fit. The NWO, what you saw last week was the beginning. Hall, Nash, and Macho, you're a diamond cutter, choke slammer, Steiner brother away from losing what's yours. A special message in Montreal for the birthday boy. Take a good look at what you started here. He's racked him 3 times, and he's taken his title away from him, and you could be looking at the next WCW champion again. So I thought this was actually a good promo for Luger here on the bounce back, and I like that he shut down Gene, wanting him to get kind of in the officiating drama. Actually had a good point in saying that, if Randy Anderson would have been quick to call a DQ the week before, he'd never been champion. So he was actually consistent in how he let things go in both.
And he makes DiBiase look like a bitch because, Luger's kind of out here owning it. He's like, "Yep, not going to complain." Like, here's what and DiBiase is out there whining and pissing and moaning. So it definitely
he's not whining, but he is making.
He is whining. The only thing I will say made Luger look like a little bit of a loser was him talking about and celebrating the cohesion of WCW, but doesn't say anything about no one helping him. So again, I get he's not out here to complain, and maybe it'll become something, but it just makes him look a little stupid that he's like, the NWO have their groups and their nicknames and their cohesiveness, and now we're getting there too. No, that's the whole reason you fucking lost, is that they did that and you didn't. That's the entire reason that you lost. So it's I get it. You just want to start blaming people, but it's it makes him look a little bit like a dummy. It's you just don't mention it at all. Don't brag about WCW becoming cohesive when the whole reason you lost is that NWO teamed up and kicked the shit out of you, and no one from your team came out and helped.
Right. Nitro Girls number 4. A lot of appearances from Nitro Girls tonight. Diamond Dallas Page versus Buff Bagwell. Big reaction for the Diamond Cutter signal when DDP throws it up. Quick hip toss imposed by Buff. Page goes for his Diamond Cutter. Buff bells to the outside. Tony says, finally, Tony on commentary says, you know what? We got to start standing up for the champion when he's under attack. So he kind of had been preaching to what you've been saying, Joseph.
Right.
Finally, I think. Buff gains the advantage with a drop kick.
Hang on.
Kicking First time we'd heard that in a while tonight. So
usually we get it 7 times a night.
Yeah, they waited to hour number 2 tonight. Buff gains the advantage with some drop kicks, starts kicking away at the ribs. Vincent chokes DDP for good measure. Buff puts his head down but recovers with a swinging neck breaker. Scott Dickinson, of all people, starts asserting himself to Bagwell. Page again goes for the Diamond Cutter, gets hit with a backslide. I thought that was a nice looking spot, a good hope spot for Bagwell here. And Bagwell asked Scott Dickinson for the time left remaining on the match, and Dickinson, bewildered, asked that of the timekeeper. That allows Vincent to get on the apron, but it backfires as Bagwell gets sent into Vincent and then gets hit with the Diamond Cutter. So I thought this was a pretty fun, good TV match. I went 2 1/4 here.
Yeah, Buff got some shine. I liked all the Diamond Cutter counters that he works out throughout the match into the finish. So, 2 stars for me.
Yep. Next, Stagger Lee is at the Birmingham.
Yes, he's in Birmingham eating a great rib dinner as part of a Nitro party in the 5 Point South section. Lee says he's in the home of the Civil Rights District, the birthplace of Courtney Cox, Willie Mays, Charles Barkley, Bo Jackson, and Diana Ross. if you're talking about civil rights, why does he like lead with like the young white woman? Like, wouldn't you lead with Willie Mays and Bo Jackson and Diana Ross? Like, and also Courtney Cox. He leads with Courtney Cox.
It's on the number one show in America.
I know. This kind of goes against the concept of Birmingham.
He didn't say he's representing all of civil rights.
I'm just saying he mentioned civil rights, and then he goes
Stagger Lee's eating barbecue in the middle of this district. How white can you get than Stagger Lee?
He's also the infamous dance hall. It's also the home of Tuxedo Junction. No Weasel joke this week. I think Lee's getting a little lazy.
Yeah. Well, he may not want to touch that after his civil rights stance, so it might have been good for Stagger Lee to lay off.
He's getting a little fat and happy on the barbecue.
Stagger Lee, there you go. Next is Mortis versus the Ultimate Dragon. Today he was fired off the old cell date. Mm-hmm. We get 3 more here. September 20th, WCW returns to the Cow Palace. Paige and Kimberly will be at the box office for that one. Then these are all house show days because that's a Saturday date. Then the Thursday before that, on September 18th, they're going to be in Spokane, Washington. And then on Friday, September 19th, they're going to be in Seattle at the.
Well, that makes sense because then Nitro's in Salt Lake. So
yep. So Dragon gets his quick flurry of kicks, sends Mortis reeling. It was it's always alarming when you have these guys that you don't think of very tall or next to juniors or luchadors, because like Mortis towered over Ultimo here, which was interesting. Back elbow by Mortis in a choke. But he gets placed on the top turnbuckle. Vandenberg grabs Dragon's legs. They fight for a superplex. Dragon sends Mortis face first down to the mat. Mortis comes back with a Northern Lights suplex for 2. He gets his kind of front face leg drop for another 2 count, and he goes for the flatliner, but Dragon's able to counter out of that into a power bomb and locks on the Dragon sleeper to end it. So a rough night for Vandenberg's Chargers here, because they both do jobs. This was pretty brief. I thought it was fine for what it was, but didn't really have a lot of time to develop. So I went 2 stars here.
Yeah, no, fun match. Definitely a tough night for Vandenberg and his boys across the board. That said, it's good to see him up and down the roster, not just Glacier and Miller. Like, this is cool. Mortis Dragon, like that's a cool little match on paper. Another one, if it gave a little more time with Mortis's kind of innovative offense, could have been a very different guy, the Dragon, to face. So another one that could have been a fun little placeholder on pay-per-view. But they really had a hustle here because you could tell time was ticking. So 2 stars.
Next is Gene's interview with J.J. Dillon. J.J. said he hoped he had an answer to get Sting back in the ring. He was looking back at what the announcer spoke about early, and then he brings up that War Games again. Lets us know that the NWO had to give up some secessions. We see Sting on the catwalk walking back and forth. And JJ says the NWO is contractually obligated to negotiate and participate in some WCW sanctioned events. He asks Sting to come down and lets us know he has a brand new contract. So they give a couple seconds looking around till they find Sting. Sting ends up rappelling down. Tony, this drives me nuts. He just, the night before they confused the real Sting to the fake Sting. Well, this Sting rappels down from 200 feet up above the arena, and Tony proclaims that only one man can make an entrance like that. It's like, well, really? Because every time the fake Sting comes out, you think it's the real one, so you can't keep it straight either. Sting walks right up to JJ. JJ says that this week his office, like never before, had been flooded with calls, letters, faxes,
telegrams. Who the fuck is sending a telegram to the WCW office?
Right.
Western Union.
Talking about the situation, offering him suggestions, but he does have a valid contract and he can meet one-on-one a member of the NWO 6. Crowd, I'll give it to them. They pop for that. He presents the contract to Sting. Gene tells Sting that's not a bad place to start if you want to go through the NWO.
Well, and the thing is, the crowd actually pops when he says NWO member, but then they die when he says 6.
No,
you think so? It's not like they went quiet when he said 6.
No, I was shocked at how hot they are. This is my big this may be like a hill I die on, but I think I was shocked at how
See, I thought
heated
they
they were
cheered for the
for this.
NWO and then kind of quieted down.
No, because Sting rips it up, stuffs it in JJ's coat pocket. Tony says, we do the answer before we started. Gene asks him what he wants, and Tony on commentary says, he wants Hulk Hogan, and the crowd. See, here's where I think the crowd does start chanting some Hogan, but I was surprised at how not as rampant as it was. So, saying all that, of course, Gene and JJ look a little dumbfounded. That is the segment. But I will say this this to me is the last moment I would give this segment and tease a pass.
Right.
Because I could get on board with a contract period, which was kind of stupid. But even this week, I think it's a better step than last week. It is an NWO member. And I do think the crowd, again, was more into it than I would have thought they would have been with 6. But saying that and how quickly Sting ripped up the contract, and this again is knowing that we got some more stuff good down the line with this. JJ's a buffoon to not know what he's.
He looks like a fucking idiot. Next. He should at least again. My issue with WCW is the little things that we've had so far. It's it's very simple to sit and say, "Listen, we know who you want. We're having a hard time getting him. Can we start here?" That's a minor difference, right? But it doesn't make you look like a fucking moron when everyone's chanting and they're looking around. Him and Gene are looking around like buffoons. Huh? Wait, who? Oh, he wants the world champ. Who do you fucking think he wants? He looks like a stooge. I like the crowd's into it. Sting's been fine. We're at the end, so we'll see how many more contracts we get offered. But I just think, again, these little wording and phrases and the way they go about things could definitely shift things into a better direction. And it happens regularly right now with them. And it's just little things. I'm not going crazy rebooking shit. That's a simple fix. Just say, we know who you want, Hogan. We're not stupid. I mean, we know he wants Sting. You're not stupid. You want Hogan. We get it. This dude won't sign a fucking contract. We're trying. Will you give us this? Meet us halfway. Fight 6. Start at someone. And then Sting refuses. No, I want Hogan, and that's it. Right? At least that's a different presentation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm really going to turn on this next week, but I'll say for this week, okay. Savage Madness shirt. Get the shirt and the bandanas, $25 plus $7.95.
Birmingham, Lee's packaging them up while he's eating barbecue.
Right. Then we get our main event. The timing was a little weird on the show, because they kind of rushed this main event and then it ends quick, where the announcers end up having to vamp for a minute before we go off the air. So I don't know what was going on, but it is Curt Hennig versus Randy Savage. Today makes it clear that it's Hogan that he wants, and the ball is in JJ's court. So again, even the announcers are kind of clowning on him. So he should know. They do show a nerdy fan, and Bobby says "yikes," which I thought was very funny. And they showed him in the crowd. Curt Hennig comes out to his terrible.
Looks very confident for a man who may be making that long walk to the left.
Topical as well. Savage hits a big clothesline to start, elbow to the throat of Hennig. Savage gets sent to the guardrail, shields himself with Liz. A lot of brawling as we head to break. We come back with more crowd brawling. We get back in the ring. Hennig hits some knee lifts. I thought the crowd here wasn't real great for this, actually. Hennig ends up getting his leg kicked out from under him. It's kind of the Bret Hart SummerSlam 1991 style. Yeah. Savage gets sent to the outside once again, and out comes DDP, who ends up attacking Hennig, of all people, first before he even attacks Savage. So pretty weak DQ here, I'd say, to end this main event. Not a great main event overall. I went 1.5 stars. Then we get a pretty quick brawl where Savage is in. He attacks Page. But out comes Hall as Page and Savage fight, and then it's an NWO attack on Page. Savage gives him multiple elbow drops till Luger runs in and makes the save as the NWO retreats. So I only went a star and a half for the main event here.
Yeah, I went star and a quarter. Not a fan. It was all right. I mean, again, Hennig continues to underwhelm a decent amount. Like, you would think you at least get a little bit more to this. I know it's rushed. I know they, had to kind of chug along at this point. I think they should have killed that Mortis Dragon match maybe, and would have had a little bit more room to breathe, because this definitely feels like go, go, go. And it's two guys that aren't great at go, go, go. So that is what it is. It does show that Luger's willing to be a team player, but it does also feel like he's sliding down the card a little bit too. So a quick match, which isn't the worst thing given how Hennig looks, but whatever. So star and a quarter for me.
And then the announcers pretty quickly sign us off, and that's that. So another edition of Nitro in the books.
All right. Let's get to our awards here, and then we'll head over to Raw. So match of the night, I had Jericho and Guerrero.
Yep.
All right. Moment was Sting pointing for Hogan.
Yeah, I think Sting ripping up the contract. This was I would say, like, coming off of a pay-per-view. And even like the Raw, you had a few things happen too, like Shawn's big heel turn, I guess. But these were kind of interesting choices. I think both shows coming off the pay-per-views. It's a little weird.
Yeah, agreed. MVP, I went the Outsiders. I liked him in that opening promo and the beatdown of the Jobbers, and then Hall, you get him with those Larry stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think there was any clear choice, so I went with Eddie Guerrero. Thought he did well in that match.
Debuts, Bobby Starr and David Moore.
Yeah, those are the only two.
And then Road Report was Birmingham. I don't think any dropped angles.
No.
And then I went 7 out of 10. Like, still a very good Nitro. Just, again, like, we didn't get like a big thing. I think Hogan having to do the movie, get him out of there. With Nash, like you said, just kind of vanishes. More of the Flair Hennig stuff. But I like the in-ring, and we get the Sting moment. We get some stuff. So 7 feels like, which is crazy because this is how good they've been. Like, 7 feels almost like their floor right now. This felt like a floor episode for me. Like, very good. It's not bad in any way. It's just it didn't have their hits that they get.
Yeah, we actually, besides Hogan, we have pretty much everybody here. I went 6.5. I think there's things certainly to gripe about, and not a lot of like major ground shaking. Like, this is probably a show you could skip if you absolutely had to, and you wouldn't miss a whole lot. But overall, it was enjoyable and had a few good matches to keep it chugging along.
All right, let's head to Raw. We open with a recap video of Shawn Michaels' actions from SummerSlam, promo from last week, the arrival of Sergeant Slaughter as commissioner. We then see Michaels backstage pacing. He tells the cameraman to leave him alone. Get our opening animation. Excuse me. Then we get our pyro. Vince welcomes us into Biloxi as Ross is in the ring. Brings out Michaels to a mixed reaction. Ross notes that Shawn Michaels returns to action tonight as he takes on Mankind. And this is his first match since King of the Ring?
Yeah, should be. Yep.
All right. And first Raw match since that, I think it was him and Austin against LOD, right? It was like that Raw before.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll take on Mankind. Shawn wants to recap the recent events that WWF has asked him to do a job at SummerSlam. And he was told if he didn't do it fairly, he couldn't wrestle in the U.S. again, so he did it. And if the WWF and the people that run it don't have the cojones to step up and take responsibility for what happened, they want to throw it in his lap, well, fine. He's had plenty in his lap before. He kind of does a half a cross chop. Vince says Shawn asked to be the referee. And King says, Shawn is definitely talking about you. Shawn says the fans are either with him or against him, and they need to pick their sides, and that's fine. He says he's had to find out he was wrestling Mankind tonight by sitting at home and watching Superstars because the man that runs the WWF is afraid to call him like a man. And then he points at Vince and calls him a Nimrod. Vince says, this is why I'm not doing the interview. I don't want to get personal. Shawn says if Vince thinks he got cussed out last week, he'll get worse. And he demands that Ross holds the mic up higher to his mouth. We get a Shawn is gay chant. Shawn stops, looks to the crowd, and says, ask your sister and your mama how gay Shawn Michaels is. He does another cross chop. Shawn says he'll see Mankind in a few and invites Taker to watch him smack around the guy that beat him up. And if he beats the guy that beats The Undertaker, hey, that means I can beat The Undertaker too. Shawn says he wants to move on. Scroll, scroll, scroll. As the WWF and its officials have put the initial Outlaw Heartbreak Kid on the private hit list, and the new commissioner's calling the shots. Vince shakes his head and chuckles as Shawn says if Sarge thinks he'll stick his big, huge, enormous chin in his business, he's got another thing coming. No one steals his spotlight because he wants it all. Sarge comes to the ring as Shawn talks shit to the fans. Shawn says he won't do any chin-ups for Sarge, and Sarge says he's been backstage listening, and Shawn's right. The last thing he wants to do is Sarge to come out and stick his jaw in his business, but he's going to do it. The whole time he's talking, Shawn's kind of preening. He's mocking Sarge. Sarge laughs as Shawn thinks his actions as a commissioner to get him in Shawn's spotlight. He says, I've already been in so many spotlights, you can't even count them. Shawn stands tall, kind of gets up in his face. He's pretending he's wiping Sarge's spit off his face with his hand. Says, I'm not here to play games. Anything he does is for the betterment of the WWF and not Shawn Michaels. Sarge says, as far as tonight's match, it's time for Shawn to shut up, put up and shut up and do something about it. Sarge asks if he's clear. Shawn gets kind of an infamous line. He says, like a windshield with no windshield wipers, you're perfectly clear, Commissioner Gordon. Sarge corrects him. Shawn calls him Chin Boy and says no one talks to HBK this way, and he'll do something about it tonight. And he knows everyone's after him. So like always, he's thinking ahead. And once again, like he always has, when his life is in danger, he needs an insurance policy. And based on his past, he delivers better than a mailman and UPS. Shawn doesn't have to worry about tonight, or Sarge doesn't have to worry about tonight, the sweet chin music in the air. No pun intended, Slaughter. Shawn says there's nothing anyone can do about it, and that's in order. And he does a mock salute and a crotch chop, and then dances as Vince and King reset. So this is kind of another classic Shawn promo from this era. Like all the Sarge stuff was, pretty well known from this time. It sets him up as a key foil, and we get the insurance policy kind of bodyguard tease later. And again, I like that because that is consistent with Shawn's past. Like whenever he's felt targeted, he always goes to the muscle. Like he brought in Diesel, then he goes to Sid in 95, and now he's got another one tonight. This has kind of always been his go-to move, is to bring in someone to watch his back when he feels like he's got the target on it. Slaughter was fine here. Michaels, he did a good job staying kind of stoic as Michaels is like mocking him like a child. He did a good job not kind of getting aggravated with him. And you could already see like what's to come over the next few months, right? The direction they're taking Shawn is just kind of a, asshole that's not going to respect anybody and act like a dick. So it's another good promo for him. It's memorable stuff. It's stuff like we were quoting a lot at the time and playing along with.
Yeah, I felt this is kind of like their version of Larry and Hall in a lot of ways. Shawn coming out, I was a little annoyed, and the Biloxi fans too. He got a more positive reaction this week. And he was still like slapping hands, which I thought was a little strange. But once he gets in and starts doing the promo, I thought he did a great job. And then all the stuff he covered with the Slaughter was interesting. I'll say I don't think it's a little weird because he's kind of talking about like the Taker match, but not a whole lot. So I don't think we really honed in on that yet. It's mostly been kind of, I guess, like his new attitude change.
Well, the interesting thing is we actually, it seems like Ground Zero is not that close, but we only have like one more Raw because then Raw's off for the US Open. So we get those two Friday shows. And those are new run, like they're not like the usual shit. These are like first run shows that they do. But we only got like 2 weeks of Raw left, so we'll see how we get there.
Right. But yeah, overall a really good promo and definitely sets up a lot in the future that continues to bowl over between these guys.
Yeah, him and Sarge definitely are set up now as like main foils, like Shawn. You can see where it's going though, and you can understand Brett's frustration in like Wrestling with Shadows when he's like, I've been the top heel since Mania, and now Shawn is clearly like taking my heat, so.
Right.
We get some fan on the street comments about tonight's main event, and then we see LOD warming up for a country whipping match, and that is a singles match as Hawk will be taking on Hank Godwin. After the break, British Bulldog and Owen Hart have come down to the ring. They hit the commentary booth. We find out the winner is the first to knock the other person to the floor. LOD power out to a pop. Hawks already has a strap tied to his wrist. Hank cuts a quick promo from backstage. The Godwin saunters to the ring. Hawk attacks at the bell, pummels Henry, his strap, and chokes him with it. Hawk kicks Hank in the head, whips and stomps away. Vince and Ross reveal there'll be a fatal four-way at Ground Zero on September 7th for the tag team titles, and Steve Austin will be in the match. Owen says good for him. They'll redeem themselves and get the belts back. Hank takes over, starts to claw, choke, and whip. Ross knows that Bret Hart will defend the world title against the Patriot at Ground Zero. And then Bulldog and Owen argue over which of them can take out the Patriot tonight to make Bret proud. Hank keeps hammering away with a strap. Owen says they need to keep beating the heck out of each other. It'll make Ground Zero even easier. Hank gets a boot and a charge and heads up top. It's a clothesline with the strap. Vince notes that Ground Zero will include Dude Love and Steve Austin versus Owen Hart and British Bulldog versus Legion of Doom versus the Godwins. Hawk stomps away. Bulldog says they'll take the real straps at Ground Zero. Phineas clobbers Animal with a slop bucket, gets in the ring and works over Hawk. Hank then dodges a hangman's choke with the strap on Hawk as Phineas slugs away. Animal comes in, smacks the Godwins with the bucket, cleans them out of the ring, and gets the win. LOD stand tall. The Godwins regroup. And I thought it was a fun little brawl. Had some energy. I like the stip. It was something different. And LOD and Godwin continue to have a good little feud and kind of refocus the tag division after a very odd, 6 to 8 months or so early in the year. We're really kind of bringing things back around to having some legit teams. Even just having this four-way match, like all those teams are pretty good, and then you still have a few other teams not in it, so the division is starting to bulk back up a little. And they do a good job hyping that match at Ground Zero. So 2 stars for me.
Yeah, I went 2 1/4. I like the match and the stiffness. Pretty brief, but they maximized the time. The only critique I'd have is they didn't really do a great job in getting over the stipulation, like for the finish, because essentially it's like the first person to be cleared out of the ring loses. But they kind of made it seem like, like you're whipping someone to like cowardly run away. So that was a little odd, like the way that the Hawk ends up winning. Felt a little cheap, but yeah, overall, it continues to be a very solid mid-card to upper mid-card tag feud that I'm interested to see them keep paired against each other and keep working together.
All right, so we get an ad for the 6 special edition trading cards hidden in Stridex boxes, 3 per box. From earlier tonight, we see Sarge backstage banging Pillman's door until he answers. Sarge tells him he has his wrestling gear to put it on and then hands him a dress. Sarge says that this is his gear until he wins a match on Raw. Again, Sarge is funny here. Put this on. He's so nonchalant about it. We go back to the ring as Scott Putski is here for some more light heavyweight action, taking on Tony Williams. They're in the ring, but Goldust music hits. He heads down the ramp to the announce table with Marlena. The bell rings. We get some grappling to start to a flurry of strikes from Putski. Vince shouts out Ivan, of course. Ross knows that Putski and Christopher will battle at Ground Zero. Goldust says they have a big surprise for the world tonight. The greatest Shattered Dreams production of all time. It'll even blow away Air Force One. Ross says, is it bigger than conspiracy theory? And Goldust says it makes Georgia the Jungle look like a chimpanzee. It's like they're just naming every big movie from that week if they can. We go to a split screen for the movie. We completely ignore the match, not paying attention anyway. The footage is a hidden camera of Pillman pacing his locker room, ranting about the dress. Ross says this is an invasion of privacy. Ting says it's a Frank Gifford cam against the law. Goldust says Pillman's against the law. Williams works over Putski with a suplex, gets some kicks. Vince is trying to call the match, but everyone else is focused on Pillman, basically getting naked, struggling to get the dress on. Williams is still on offense, but Putski counters Arana with a sit-out powerbomb. Putski and Williams trade punches as Pillman rages in his locker room. He's throwing shit around, trying to rip the dress apart. Putski finishes with a Polish hammer. I couldn't tell you much about the match, honestly. It's all a backdrop to Pillman. Putski wins. He's facing Christopher at Ground Zero. 1.25 stars, I guess. I don't know. I gave him a courtesy star. It was all focused on the hidden camera act.
Yeah, I would have starred. That may be too generous. This is a disaster. I mean, the light heavyweight division, as we talked about, has been very up and down at best. Putski, I don't know what the weight limit was on this division, 230 or whatever, but Putski seemed like he was pushing that. Also has one of the worst tans jobs I've ever seen, where he is like bronze to the max here. It's like Hulk Hogan circa 1990 levels. And then the stuff with Goldust, I mean, I don't know. Like, it was just strange and not entertaining to me at all. Like, to see and the way it was presented too. Like, even like Keek says, like, this is illegal. And Goldust at first is like, it's not illegal. And King's like, yeah, it is. Like, if King is
the least pervy guy,
you're in trouble. Yeah, like this is, if he's the one that's giving you like the third degree,
Ross says it too. It definitely made Pillman feel more sympathetic. Like,
yeah, it was like, I mean, okay, like it's funny he's wearing a dress, I guess, but I mean, him putting it on was not funny. And this video of him, you know, lumbering around in his locker room trying to put it on. Then you had King like saying, "Brian, if you can hear me, stop doing it," you know, all this. And meanwhile, there's a match going on that like nobody's paying attention to, which is also a problem. So yeah, to me,
I don't know why they did this during a match. I don't know why they didn't just kill the match and show the footage,
or even what they end up doing with Goldust and Marlena with the popcorn. That should have been the only clips we saw backstage of him trying on this dress. We didn't need like a 2-minute video of him trying to try it on.
It felt like the start of a double turn because their way
it's very strange. I mean, like Goldust is weird, so okay, but this felt, I mean, like King's line saying like
Pillman hasn't done enough yet to earn that. Like he does soon with what he says soon, but it's not here yet. So to me, he hasn't been a bastard enough to justify like this, you know?
No, like it seems like he's kind of in this mid-card feud, but like really still looking out for the greater good of the Hart Foundation. And like, meanwhile, Goldust has this weird axe to grind to embarrass him at all situations, like very personally, and I don't know, it's very strange.
Sarge is out. He tells Goldust and Marlena to go backstage. They're going to the principal's office. The crew hypes up upcoming weekend shows. We have Springfield, Boston, New Haven, Atlantic City for Raw next week. They call it Science Man event. They didn't say Friday, right? I think they said Science Man event, unless I wrote it by accident. But
I can't recall.
In Chicago next Saturday. So I don't know. Maybe they branded it that.
Maybe taping it, or
and then they air it on the Friday. Maybe they call it that for like the live crowd, and then they change it to Friday. Or maybe USA was going to air it on Saturday originally, and they changed. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to look and see when those shows are taped and see if we'll try to figure that out.
Because, they're definitely not live. Because they aired at like 11 p.m. on those Fridays. Right. I remember staying up and watching them and taping them. And then Raw, the big Raw at MSG on the 22nd. So it's up against the Salt Lake Nitro. So we'll see how that goes. Ross also, I think, is this the first they mentioned this? That WrestleMania is at the Fleet Center in Boston? I don't think they've said that yet.
Yeah, I don't think they mentioned that before either.
It's crazy when you think of like what Mania announcements are now compared to like Ross just casually mentions it in this segment. And also, by the way, Raw WrestleMania 14 will be at the Fleet Center. Like, okay. Like it was just like a nonchalant comment. We go backstage. Undertaker vows to watch Michaels match tonight. And the only insurance policy Shawn needs is at Ground Zero is a burial insurance because he will rest in peace. We then see a low angle shot of Pillman leaving his locker room. We come back. Flash Funk is dancing in the ring. We get a plug for a candid interview with Goldust in the new Raw magazine. Pillman's music hits. He's slow to come out the curtain, and you see Slaughter kind of shoves him out of the curtain onto the ramp. Pillman tries to go back in, and Sarge pushes him back out. Ross says they're on the verge of pushing Pillman over the edge. He's been saying it. We get clips from last week where Pillman lost to Bob Holly thanks to Goldust and Marlena distracting him, meaning he had to keep the dress on. Pillman hammers away at the bell. Ross plugs Hardcore Heaven on Sunday. Jerry Lawler takes on Tommy Dreamer. Pillman grinds Funk to the mat, hammers away. As Vince says, that show is for the fans that like their action extreme. And we're on the edge of that with Pillman in this dress. Ridiculous. Ross says King's friend Sabu will be at Hardcore Heaven. And that's a big deal. And King says Dreamer should wear a dress too. Sarge comes in from backstage, says after listening to Owen and Bulldog argue over who gets to fight the Patriot, he decided to make it a tag match. Patriot gets a partner of his choice to be named when the match starts. King says Sarge is going to want to realign baseball next with his decisions. Funk rallies with a flying clothesline, punches and a knee lift in the corner. Funk gets 2 on a high cross body, slams Pillman, goes up, eats knees on a moonsault. Pillman hits a DDT, but before he can cover, Goldust music hits. Him and Marlena now back out with popcorn. They sit on the ramp. We look up at the Titantron where the hidden footage now airs. Pillman is seething. Funk hits an inside cradle to win, and Pillman will have to keep wearing the dress. The match was fine. But again, there's so much going on right now. Like, there's no focus on the action. We get shit jammed in everywhere. We have gone a full 180 the other way from where Raw used to be, where nothing would happen for weeks at a time. Now we're like 15 things are happening at once, which is good, but it can get very tiring. And Goldust gets the laugh. So I went 2 stars in the match. I agree with you. Like, this could have been enough. And I don't think the arena people saw the shit earlier. So this was kind of for them. So it would have been fine. Like, it would have been just enough, and it wouldn't have felt as creepy or heelish for them to do.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish that was it, but it would have felt a lot less mean.
Yeah, not a lot on the match. I want to start in 3/4. Pillman had some decent strikes, but yeah, it's all a backdrop to the Goldust feud again. So 2 notes that Chicago is one of the Friday night's main event taping.
Yeah, they definitely knew that. They're at the Rosemont.
Yeah, the tape at August 23rd airs the 29th. And then on August 19th, 1997, they were in Warwick, Rhode Island. Main event. Oh boy, this is quite a card here. Savio Vega versus Rocky Maivia. Flash Funk versus Rockabilly. The Godwins versus the Headbangers. Ken Shamrock versus Vader. Crushing Chains versus Miguel Perez and Jose. And Kama and D'Lo Brown. Goldust versus Brian Pillman. And Mankind versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley is your main event. So pretty good card, I'd actually say.
Well,
so they drew 2,400 people.
Yeah, well, that's in the tent. So Warwick, every year they did the tent tour. So
show, yeah, because the next day they were in
Cape Cod or Hyannis, whatever.
Cohasset.
Yeah,
is that how you say that?
Yeah, that's in Cape Cod.
Hyannis, is that
Hyannis?
Hyannis.
So those are like the South Shore. Costa is like South Shore. Hyannis is like Cape Cod, and that was their annual tent weekend. They
essentially the same. There's 3 shows, and they did essentially the same card for each.
Yeah, they did that every year. That might actually be the last one, but because the musical theater closes, I think, in 2000, I want to say, ish, in Warwick. But it was real tiny. So 2,400 is pretty good there. It's like literally like a tent, like under a tent. It was a lot of just like music acts would perform there.
It looks like the first Friday night show is taped in Atlantic City
after Raw. No, the first one's Rosemont.
Oh, 29th's the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, because that's weird. Because like even how extended did they tape these shotguns? Because the taped shotgun on August 18th on Graham's site references stuff that says like referencing the previous Friday night main event. So that's like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, maybe they had to because of the Friday.
They may have.
Maybe they taped shotgun early that week or something.
Oh no! They looks like they doubled up. They taped both Friday nights at that Rosemont.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because I know the first one was definitely Rosemont.
Yeah.
But the tent was cool because it was very Everett asked if we're going to do those. Yes, we are going to do the Friday Smith events. The tent shows are cool. It was a cool setup because it was basically all open air, and the wrestlers would like hang behind the tent, so you could go like meet them between matches or like while you were waiting. That's where I met Backlund when he asked me to name all the presidents or whatever. So it was a cool setup. I didn't go. I went 92, 93, 94, and I don't think I went again after that. I don't know why. But they definitely kept going. I don't know why I didn't go to that because it was only like 10 minutes from my house. Like I don't get why I didn't go again after the first couple.
This is one of their bizarre like taping schedules because like they did this show, which was this live or was this? I'll look. But after this, they only have 2. Yeah, this was live. But they have next week in Atlantic City, and then they have that taping in Chicago, and then it's Ground Zero, which is
right
September 6th or 7th or whatever. So almost in a month, they only had 2 TV tapings.
It gets wonky. Yeah, and they have that long week plus off because they have the Raw, and then the Friday's main event doesn't air until the next Friday. So it's like almost 2 weeks off. Yeah. And then the second Friday's main event is 2 days before Ground Zero. So, but that shit aired late. Like next week's Raw is really their go home in a way because that shit aired. I'm telling you, it was like I think it's 11-1 on those Friday nights after the U.S. Open. So like there's not a lot of fucking eyeballs on that shit like 1 a.m. on a Friday.
Right.
So. Only losers.
Yeah, very bizarre schedule because then they go to like they have one shot in Albuquerque, New Mexico, of all places, and then they're in Washington, British Columbia, Saskatoon, and Ontario. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know who booked that Albuquerque show. That'd be a nightmare to go down to that show. That's a big show too. It's Undertaker versus Brett on that. Crazy.
Only high school seniors with no life watching those shows like me back then on Friday nights.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember those at all.
Doing a special bulletin, those without pay-per-view capability, SummerSlam 97. So again, remember we talked about this at SummerSlam, so they're still kind of calling it out.
Yeah.
Now available on home video, $23.95 plus $6 to Mount Morris. Actually wasn't bad, $30 for the tape. I mean, that's about the pay-per-view price.
They went down a lot from the clamshell days.
Promotional ads, we get Discovery Zone, has the free narrative poster. Ross notes that Steve Austin's on the injured list with a career-threatening injury. We get a video package, kind of talks about SummerSlam, last week's match between Owen Hart and Dude Love, where Austin showed up. Vince is in the ring. He brings out Dude Love to a decent little reaction. Vince says Dude's tag team title run with Austin is on hold. Dude asks Vinny if he can feel the groove. It says the Iceman is home nursing wounds, but he sent his newest best buddy and main man to tell everyone he'll be back soon to kick some. Ask me another question because I'm on a roll. Vince says the titles could be in jeopardy at Ground Zero. Dude gives his thoughts on each team. He's mixing in some messy 70s jokes. Vince asks Dude who he thinks is going to win the match between Mankind and Shawn Michaels tonight. And Dude says he doesn't have a crystal ball, but he knows both wrestlers pretty well. Mankind will rock and roll over the world, would be hippie, even though Michaels can party. When Mankind sticks his nasty fingers in Shawn's gullet, the party is over. Shawn pops up on the screen. He cuts off the Dude, says knock it off. He hopes someone smacks Dude Love so he can wake up in the 21st century. Calls him a Nimrod. So this is Shawn's new word, I guess, Nimrod. Yeah. Shawn says Dude is not Shawn Michaels, not even himself. Calls him an idiot. Says tonight Mankind will see his new insurance policy. And even for Dude or Mankind, he'll stick his foot down his throat and calls him an idiot again and storms off. Dude quotes John Lennon and vows Mankind will tear up Michaels tonight. He dances with some groupies and then leave. Dude is all over the fucking place with his promos, but his energy is infectious. And Michaels feels like a bigger asshole by the minute, like mocking this guy. So like he feels, he's upbeat. He's, you get into him, but he's all over the fucking place with the 70s references. And I do like the callback where Michaels tells him, like, you're not me, so fucking stop, because that was the whole thing. Is that remember you wanted to be Shawn Michaels, and that's the whole crux of Dude Love, right? So it was kind of a cool nugget in there that Michaels says that, but otherwise, this was fine. I mean, you can tell this is some shit that was probably earmarked for Austin, that they're having to fill time with Dude Love now in these spots, kind of, lamping for him.
Yeah, I would say this was only okay because Foley's charismatic. As I mentioned, Dude is easily my least favorite of all 6 personas of Foley. So I didn't think this added a lot of substance, besides a few kind of corny puns.
All right, get more fan comments about the main event. We see Patriot talking to his partner about business. We then get our hour 2 opening animation into the arena. We reset. We get our tag match. It was teased earlier. Owen Hart and British Bulldog come down. They have their flags. They get their belts. They got the slammies. Ross hypes up one night only. Patriot comes down waving the U.S. flag and then brings out his partner, Ken Shamrock, to a pop. Bulldog's barking at Vince about Shamrock being the choice. Shamrock wants to start, so Bulldog tags in Owen. We get going with some chain work. Ken works the arm, and it's a high knee, tags Patriot, goes in with a back elbow. Owen scampers and tags Bulldog, so we reset. Patriot sticks and moves, goes to the arm and tags Shamrock. Bulldog quickly bails. Brett's on the stage. Ken gets distracted. That allows Owen to take his knee out. Bulldog and Owen quickly pounce. They beat on Ken. We got a break. We come back. Ken's trying to fight free in the corner. Gets swarmed again, kept in the soup. Owen gets 2 on a backbreaker, tags Bulldog. Shamrock rallies with a crossbody to both men. Ross says to never count out. Austin says he'll be back sooner than later. Patriot gets a tag, cleans house, gets 2 on a power slam on Bulldog. Shamrock cuts off Owen. Bulldog gets a boot up on a charge, leads to a double clothesline. Brett saunters toward the ring, stares down Shamrock, but Sarge is out to get between them. Owen slides a chair in the ring, goes up and ties Ken outside to bait the ref to the floor. Brett and Sarge argue, allowing Bulldog to see the chair, but Patriot hooks Bulldog and plants him on the chair with the Old Glory for the win. This is a pretty good tag match. There's 4 strong workers kind of doing their thing. Well done finish. Patriot needed the win to stay hot for Ground Zero. And Bulldog, fine to take the loss. The Hearts tried to run the shell game and it failed this time. So 2 3/4 for me. This is perfectly fine TV tag. Yeah, pretty decent overall.
Yeah, I thought the work here was pretty good. This is actually, I think, where I hypothesized that Patriot should have been in a tag feud with Owen Bulldog instead of the title match. I feel like that fits him better.
Well, and this is perfect. Him and Shamrock. That's a good little team to kill time.
But with this being a one-off feud, I don't hate the finish, but it's always that little thing where it's like you already proclaimed that Owen and Bulldog are in this four-way at the pay-per-view. They're obviously a credible tag team, and now they're beat by the spaceship tag team, who they didn't even know Shamrock was involved. Like Ross mentions that before on commentary. That's like, that's not very fair of the commissioner to not even let them know, because Sarge is just like of his choosing. It's like, well, what do you know? That's a little crappy to Bulldog and Owen. But yeah, the actual work itself I thought was pretty spirited here. So 2 3/4, a good tag match. I don't
know what else I could have done, because Pillman's tied up. You can't do another DQ. That's all they do with these freaking guys. Yeah. This is where it sucks that as boring as he is in the ring, that Anvil vanished, because he would have been good in this spot. Do like Bulldog and Anvil or whatever.
Taking a bunch of losses, yes.
Like the Hearts don't have that job, that Vincent anymore right now without the Anvil. So they don't have the job guy. So, but again, Patriot needs to win. So.
If they're determined for Patriot to go for the championship, which they are, that him winning makes sense.
I mean, they're pretty hard into him, which again, I don't mind it, because they kind of, with Shawn going heel, you kind of need another top face, especially with Austin going down. It's kind of fortuitous they had Patriot kind of heated up, because now they're down another guy.
I don't think it's bad. It does feel very Memphis to me, in that, like, the big Lawler and Dundee feud, they had the big blow off, so now we got to cool off on that. Let's bring somebody else in to face, Lawler for a few weeks.
Well, we get this for a while, Brett, too. I mean, he's on ice until Montreal, pretty much. He doesn't. He's involved with Shawn and stuff, but he's not doing a ton on the Shawn Taker is the storyline.
Yeah, I think they could have found maybe somebody else. I would have. Well, I mean, I don't know if they wanted to utilize still ECW. That's obviously something they could have parlayed. I mean, I get the Patriot, but it feels very on the nose, and it feels very still cartoony or Memphis for the attitude.
Well, and it feels like we're kind of a little bit past the U.S. Canada stuff now. The people.
Yeah, it's not as
Patriot would have been better at Stampede instead of Goldust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not even big on Goldust here, but I actually think him and Brett could have been good at Ground Zero. You could have done that, give him the moment, or just do fucking Foley too. You could have done Dude Love in that spot.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, again, it's not that Patriot's bad. I just think he's a little over his skis, and this is kind of a first world problem with me. But I mean, I do think I've watched so much wrestling that in rewatching this back, it's it does feel like you're getting pushed above.
Yeah,
and to me, compared to WCW, because WCW has all these guys that are still underneath. I would have loved for a Benoit or somebody else to be pushed into the Booker. Whoever, take your pick. There's 6 guys.
Yeah,
they could have put in that position to fight.
I think they knew too it was a throwaway. So it's at the time. I'll say I liked him. I thought it was a cool get. I remember him from Global and his brief WCW run, and it felt like a name to me at the time. I don't think it felt crazy. It felt second place behind Shawn and Taker, but that's how they present it. But I don't think it's because it didn't feel that way because of Patriot, I guess, at the time. But looking back, it does. But at the time, I remember thinking, I
think I'll just go with Shamrock, actually.
Yeah, unless I just didn't want him to lose yet. But
yeah.
Ross plugs the hotline. He has a real story on why Ahmed Johnson was kicked out of the nation, and also an update on Austin. Vin shows us some newspaper stories about Brett's big return to Canada. And then we get a clip of a local news interview, his arrival at the Toronto airport, swarmed by fans. This is all with the belt post SummerSlam. Vince hypes the main event, reminds us these two men had the Slammy match of the year in 1996. Backstage, we see the back of the insurance policy. It's a man in a suit. Michaels is giving instructions and then kind of shoos the camera. Man, out of there. We get a SummerSlam VHS ad. We get In Your House Ground Zero promo. Patriot joins us from backstage, gives his warnings to Brett, but Brett attacks him and leaves him laid out. So anything quick on that little flow?
Well, no, this is very, like, again, Mid-South as you can be. Like, Bill Watts getting buried in the Russian flag, like, Brett lays him out, lays the Canadian maple leaf over him. So,
well, was Cornette still booking at this point? Like, Russo had power, but he hadn't fully. Had he taken over completely yet?
Yeah, he's pretty much like head dude by now. So
I don't know if Cornette still had a say in some.
There's still, I mean, I'm sure there's still some influence, and Brad himself's probably influencing a lot too.
All right, to the ring we go. Is Farouk takes on Chains. Farouk is out solo. Ross says Slaughter has banned the Nation and the DOA tonight. Chains rides down. We go to last week of the Nation kicked out Ahmed. Chains hammers away at the bell, lands a big boot. Farouk takes over. Ross asks about the rumors of a story involving King and Susan Johnson. Farouk fights through the couple of comeback attempts, keeps hammering away. Farouk hops on Chains 3 times, and then Chains rolls over. And this is his classic Farouk. Farouk's got 2 fucking moves. He alternates which he uses in each match. Either the please no with the electric chair, or this stupid fucking thing where he jumps in the guy's back, and then the big one, the guy turns and punches him in the balls or whatever. But this was like, normally you get a guy that can turn quick enough and you do it as he's in the air. But this was like Chains roll over, and then Farouk just fucking does it again for some stupid reason. He gets kneed in the balls. Like, man, I like Farouk APA when we get there. Like, he slims down and starts kicking ass. But dude, like, Farouk fucking Farouk in 97 is not.
He's bad. He's bad.
It's as bad as it gets, you know. And he wasn't bad in ECW when he fought Shane Douglas and stuff either. Like, that's not that long before this. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened. He just completely falls apart here. Just completely falls apart. Just becomes like a clown. It's just does the same stupid things. Chain fires up, slams Farouk, misses an elbow. Vince and Ross talk about the Nation being a man short in these brawls. Ross thinks Farouk may be recruiting soon. Chains pancakes Farouk, but the ref gets wiped out with a lariat. Chains hits a forearm smash. Covers, but there's no count because the ref is down. And out comes Rocky Maivia to no reaction. We had lost him in June? He had that like random Raw match, right? Where we thought he was already gone, I believe.
Yeah, I'll look that
up. So he comes out, no reaction. Checks on the ref. He turns around, hits Chains with the Uranagi. Farouk crawls over. The ref is up and counts the fall. Rocky gets in the ring and poses with Farouk. So it looks like we do have that replacement for Ahmed in the Nation now. The match was nothing. I think it's a good switch for Rocky. We talked about guys in WCW that needed some kind of change, and Rocky obviously was just fucking dead in the water as a face. So why not see if this helps? You know, is he an upgrade over Ahmed? We'll find out. Like, looks wise, maybe not, but at least he can maybe work and bring some youth and non-injury into the mix. So I want to star for the match. And it's funny because this is a pretty big deal, this turn, like in the future, like right in the moment, doesn't feel like it. And it's like just randomly thrown in the middle of this fucking Raw.
Yeah, this is May 26th was the last time we saw him wrestle. Yeah. And I want to star. The match is not good. This is one of those turns and moments in history that, like, historically, I don't know. It's interesting to think about because, like, Rocky probably would have gotten there, but I don't know. This is a good opportunity for him, and you know, as we know, he really like utilizes it. But if there was
his last opportunity, like
if there was,
he needed to make this count.
Yeah, if there wasn't a faction where, you know, you got the lead saying he's kicking people out to become more blacker, and that recruits Rocky, like it's very interesting to think like what could have happened. So it's kind of one of those moments in time, honestly, where who knows, like, but yeah, I mean, the turn I think worked good. He definitely needed something to happen, and then from a historical significance, obviously, it's a big highlight to rewatch.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was a cool moment.
I mean, because even like with Austin winning the King of the Ring in '96, like that's something, right? But like, yeah, like they didn't foresee him as like this megastar after that and how they booked him. But I mean, this was like nothing. Like this could have been like any generic turn that we've seen multiple times on Raw, and it's really like catapults or is the genesis of one of the 5 biggest stars in the past.
And like you said, it's a big
years.
spot for him because the nation is being presented very strong and very hot. So like, they've since November, like they've been a premier, presence on the show. So it's, it's someone they obviously still think very highly of him to give him the spot. So
maybe. I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know how highly they think. I think they may have just thought like he's a black guy that can be in this faction. Like it's interesting to. I think it's a good opportunity.
Well, they think a lot of him already. I mean, they gave him the IC.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously like they don't think he's like a scrub or whatever, but I don't think they thought like. I mean, obviously they didn't think like him going in here was going to be like as gangbusters as it ended up being. No. I do think it was more like a circumstance of convenience in a lot of ways of why they decided to put him in. And
they might have thought maybe palling around with like Simmons and Wright, like maybe could help him to like with D'Lo, right? Kind of put him with the vets on the road and maybe kind of get him going a little bit. Like that could be part of the thinking too.
Yeah.
Backstage, Nation of Rocky celebrate. They kick the camera. Tough night for the cameraman. He get kicked out all over the place. We then see the DOA come flying in. They're banging on the door.
That didn't look like a sturdy lock.
No, it did not. That door was about to come down.
Could see in. It was like, come on.
Sable is out. King says he thinks Mark Merrow is struggling, that Sable surpassed him in popularity. Patriot storms down behind her.
Quickly on Mark Merrow, I don't know how he got in my Facebook feed, but he is like all over my main Facebook feed. He got married Saturday. I don't know if you know. Yeah, but got married, sold all his memorabilia, and like I swear, like all the any wrestlers or anything, like AI or something, he is all over my Facebook feed. His actual page, fan page or whatever. Every time I go to the homepage, it's Mark Merrow's post. So
maybe I saw from your Warzone episodes,
Maybe I saw the wedding pics, and I wanted to see how much he was going for the memorabilia. He was catching some grief for selling a lot of the memorabilia. Did
he have any of the boxing shorts on there?
He had some boxing shorts, had the Raw magazines, boxing gloves, a lot of actually cool stuff.
Did he have the Bad Blaster on there?
No Bad Blaster. Not much from the Johnny B. Bad days. It was all from the Marvel.
Did he have a flat tire?
No.
Okay. Patriot comes down behind Sable, gets the mic, says he can take any man on one-on-one, face-to-face. He won't back down, but he can't do much when he's jumped from behind with a chair. He challenges Brett to come down and fight to prove he's the man that he claims to be. Brett's out with his flag, gets in the ring. Patriot meets him and slugs away in the corner. Bulldog, Owen, and Pillman come in, and the Hearts swarm Patriot and beat him down and leave him laying under the flag. Sarge comes out and helps clean everyone out with the agents and officials. So I kind of like this wasn't just a tease, that they actually escalated and did something, like, because normally this would have, like, Patriot calls him out, Brett comes out, and then backs off and they don't fight, but they went right into it. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And I do think for all the shit we talked about in the card positioning and Patriot, they've actually like built it pretty well. Like Patriot got that win the week before SummerSlam, thanks to Shawn helping him, and every week's kind of escalated from there. And I thought they've at least done the best they can with this guy to make him feel at least like, okay, he's got a puncher's chance at Ground Zero.
Yeah, so I even got confused. This is the beatdown. Because they had like 3 pull aparts here on
the earlier one was Brett just knocked him down backstage.
Okay, got it. They're doing a lot of they're doing a lot of kind of camera time to work to get him over. It's still well done. It's not, I don't know, it's weird. It's like I don't dislike it, but I don't love it either, and I do feel like it feels pretty
I think it's just fine for like a Ground Zero. Like if this was like SummerSlam or something, like be like,
right, definitely.
But I mean, for in your house, I mean, whatever. It is the first 3 hour in your house, so I guess it's like a little bit bigger of a show. But
yes, I think it's just difficult because actually, like the low stake in your houses this year have had actually big main events, right? Like they did Austin, Shawn.
Well, we have Shawn and Taker. I mean, that's the big main event.
Have Shawn Taker.
Yeah.
So I guess even as a second match, though, I'd put this below Mankind and Taker, even though we'd seen it a million times.
All right. Mankind's backstage gives his final warnings to Michaels, who promises the lump he feels in his throat will not be emotion, but it'll be his liver, which is a great line.
Yeah, very iconic line from his book too. Yeah.
We get a "Mi nombre es Brockis" vignette, so he's still on.
Calls out Vader here.
Vader, you fat fuck. All right, main event time. Mankind taking on Shawn Michaels. Michaels gets another mixed reaction. Ross wants to know, where's the insurance policy? He says it right away. Ross has zero patience ever. Mankind wobbles out next with a trash can, throws it under the ring, slides in, but Michaels meets him with a flurry of punches, smacks him twice with the trash can, puts it on his head, hits him with an axe handle off the top. Ross tells King, get ready. This is Extreme Actions coming Sunday. And Vince clarifies, the pay-per-view Sunday is not the World Wrestling Federation. Makes it very clear. Right up there with Road Wild being the adult pay-per-view. So we're letting everyone know. Michaels pulls the can off his head, but Mankind's still wrapped in a trash bag and hooks the mandible claw with it on, which is a cool visual. Michaels wiggles out of the hole. Mankind rolls to the floor to regroup, dodges a baseball slide, slugs Michaels, whips him into the steps. Vince asks Ross if he's doing commentary for Hardcore Evan, says he's plugging it so much. And Ross says, I should be. Was this like a dig at Styles? Was it just a random comment? Did he want the ECW gig? Like, I don't know if
I like a dig at Styles.
But... Yeah. Because the way he says it almost feels like he thinks he should be having that job. Mankind hot shots Michaels across the railing. A little kid comes over to checks on him, and Shawn hugs him and hangs on to him, which was kind of a cool moment for that kid. Mankind charges Michaels, backdrops him to the announce table, wipes out King in the chair. Michaels flies off the apron to the table onto Mankind with an elbow. This has been out of control the whole time. Michaels slings Mankind to the steps, hammers away. Back of the ring, Michaels slams Mankind, hits a big elbow off the top. Vince and King come back online now with the mics. Shawn loads Sweet Chin Music. Mankind ducks, hooks the claw. Shawn walks to the ropes. They tumble to the floor where Shawn drills Mankind's head to the post to break the hold. He drives Mankind onto the table, the back suplex. Hunter S. Helmsley and China come down. We go to break. We come back. Shawn's hammering away in the ring, rips off Mankind's mask, pummels him with it. Mankind dodges a charge, and Michaels bangs into the post. Michaels dodges an elbow, and Ross wonders if Hunter and China are the insurance policy, or are they here just to keep on Mankind after SummerSlam? Shawn hooks a sleeper, dodges a charge. Mankind hits the post. Shawn follows with a flying forearm, and for two, chokes away, but Mankind comes hammering back. Shawn goes to the eyes, peppers, and chokes away. Mankind just deadlifts him and slams Shawn, pounds on him. Spikes his head to the mat. Mankind lays in more stiff strikes, buries a running knee to the corner. We go to the ramp, and out comes ravishing Rick Rude, power walking to the ring. Ross assumes that he's the insurance policy. Michaels dodges a charge, comes off the middle rope. Mankind lands a punch, sticks a double arm DDT for two. Hunter trips up Mankind from the outside. Rude stalks around, throws down the timekeeper, grabs a chair, and just crushes Mankind with the chair shot. Shawn follows the Sweet Chin Music and gets the win. The gong hits, the lights dip, and Undertaker stalks out, but he stops on the ramp because Paul Bearer is on the Titantron, and he vows that Kane is coming, and Taker will burn in hell. We get some flames on the Titantron, and we fade out. All right, a lot going on. Great match. I think it's a hidden classic. I've always loved this match. Remember it well. I remember being super hyped all day for this, for the match, for the tease. Rude was pretty well known. The journal line, spoiler line, I used to call, had the news on it. It wasn't really a surprise that it was going to be him. So I was excited that Rude was coming back. The crowd was wild. The action was nonstop. I thought Michaels was a fucking maniac here. I think this is his best match in a long time, honestly. Maybe since Sid at Survivor Series. I liked him in Austin at King of the Ring, but we talked about how that felt more exhibition-y. This was Shawn just going crazy. I think it's one of the wildest Raw matches to date. We haven't really had something like this too much. Rude's chair shot was great. And I like the tease of the relationship of Michaels and Helmsley because there's some question around it. It seems like maybe they're going to put them together a little bit, but Helmsley also has the reason to be out there, right? He's got the reason with Mankind to be out there. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's with Shawn. So I think this is pretty high level stuff. It shakes up everything. Stakes of the main event feel elevated. It's a jam-packed Raw. I went 3.5 for the match. I like Rude as the choice. He had a pretty good run going in ECW as the announcer and fucking with Douglas and all that stuff. I'm fucking with the franchise. But obviously that helped boost his awareness, and that was the whole point, right? Heyman used to bring these guys in, juice them for what he could before they got noticed again and brought up to the big leagues, right? So for here, Rude got his little run with Heyman. He got as much out of him as he could, and then boom, as soon as he got the offer from Vince, he's gone. We'll talk about Rude for the next few months and where he ends up. But I thought he's a good addition to WWF that needed like star power.
All right, I went 3 3/4 for the match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the better TV matches we have so far this year, and a lot going on, as you mentioned. We had a Vince shots fired in the middle of the match where he says you won't find top caliber stars competing at this level anywhere else. So he's giving a dig there. Works very organic with these two. So I think that's one thing that always helps is it feels very stiff and personal. And just very organic, like from the table bumps to the post shots to even Mankind bringing in the trash can, but how they used the trash can, everything felt violent and organically utilized. The backdrop and bumps on the table in particular were very chaotic looking and extreme. Then Triple H, the way he's presented and dressed, I thought was a nice departure and showed a good change as he's wearing he was wearing his it's almost like an Under Armour type shirt, but definitely not the elitist whatever attire. So that was cool. Him being out there was cool. The finish works well on the replay. They kind of botch it actually on the camera angle they have first because it's supposed to be like a little ambiguous whether Rude was aiming for Mankind or Hunter. When they do the replay angle, you can see Hunter duck out of the way of the chair shot, and Rude absolutely like waylays on Mankind. Completely nasty. He goes right into the sweet chin music.
It's
so real good finish.
97's got some gross WWF chair shots. Like we already seen Mankind take some, like the Bulldog one.
Yeah. This one was pretty jarring. Rude coming down feels like a big star still. Definitely feels like a bigger star, I'd say, than Hennig. He's still young too. Like Rude is young. Like Rude's only 37, 38, which is
if they could have if he could have healed up. He's another guy that I wish he just stays. Like I know we don't have to front run too much, but like another guy they could have really used. If he could have stayed and like gotten back in ring shape and like wrestled in WWF 98, like that could have been such a
big he's one of the few that like when he was done, he was done.
Well, he's training in 99 before he died.
Supposedly, but I don't know, man. But yeah, so overall real I think fun finish. The Taker Kane stuff at the end was, I think, okay, but it felt a little tagged on, and it's very brief. And
ending with the fire was weird because that wasn't the whole point of the match.
You get a little production too, where like you can hear the flame effect before the flames go on. So it's like, and then you see the flames. So that's a minor, I would say, like critique I have, but it was a match, very outstanding match. I mean, these two are going to match up well. It's a good performance for Shawn to have. I think Shawn actually in 97, I don't know, I'd go back and forth between this or the King of the Ring. I think they're both different enough, but I'd put them both as good performances. But I think Shawn in general, when we get to the end of 1997, is going to have a pretty sneaky case because and I think he's definitely been a better TV worker than Brett because he has a tag match with Austin as well. So I'm pretty pro Shawn actually on the TV side of things. This was just a great, very good, very strong TV match. So
it's crazy to me too that these guys have another match that's like a full star better than this. That tells you how great the Mind Games match.
I mean, this is a match that's like when you give a star rating, it kind of to me fits, but it achieves its objective.
Mm-hmm.
But from an objective standpoint of how did they want to present things, this is close to it's actually almost the opposite of the Mind Games match. Because we talked about the build to Mind Games was so bad, and the match itself over delivers. But then after that, like
Mhm.
Foley's right there with the Undertaker. So like from a what you wanted to accomplish coming out of the match, like that match was kind of a failure. Bad buy rate,
Yeah.
not a commercial success or financial success. This match, obviously not as good. Like bell to bell was only 10 minutes or so, but the way it projects everyone else, like Foley looks like a badass. Shawn's this new character. Now he has, Hunter Hearst Helmsley is a lot more interesting now with China. Still has stuff going on with Mankind. Is he associated with Michaels? There's that question going on. Then you got Rude, who's like a very
Mhm.
magnetic, charismatic figure. Where does he fit into all this? And then you still got the Taker Kane stuff that's
Right.
over there too. So you have all this stuff baked into this one match.
And it
So
carries to
it
next
really
week too.
accomplishes a lot.
The main event next week plays off of this one like really well. So it's almost like it's like a volume 1, volume 2 scenario with these matches that you have to almost watch together. Because they really do go hand in hand. And the end of that one next week really sets up Ground Zero wonderfully. So like it's a big deal. It's really well done. This one reminds me a lot of Michaels and Ramon from August '94 Raw with Michaels'
Yep.
comeback match, and like it's very similar. Like he comes back and proves that he can still go at a high clip. So yeah, no, this is great. I think it's often forgotten, but this is a big time match that they hadn't had a lot of up until now. So
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes from here. But Rude's a good addition. I remember being super pumped for him, even though again I think it was pretty well known that it was going to be him, because I think ECW even kind of hints it in those final weeks that he's on his way out the door. So
yeah.
All right, match of the night. Clearly, this.
Right.
For the moment, I went with Rude's debut. I think there's a few different options, but that felt like the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting on a show with something that could be as historically significant as Rocky turning, but I would go Rude as well.
All right, so MVP, I went Michaels here. I mean, he's just so fucking good in that match. And the promo, plus the promo.
Yeah, Shawn for me as well.
All right.
Tony Williams.
Screen jumped. Debuts, we have Tony Williams and Rick Rude.
Yep.
Farouk, kind of a please no. Wasn't the full please no, but we get the nut shot on the flip over, so we'll get that. I don't think we had any dropped angles, so that's fine. I gave this an 8 out of 10. I mean, this is a great Raw. Like, I think this is. You would think that this was the night after SummerSlam. Like this feels like that would have been it. But I think again, these 3 Raws in a row are like starting to show they're really kind of locking on the episodic flow of things, and they had to go hard because again they get those 2 throwaways coming. So you get the night after SummerSlam, we introduce Slaughter. We kick off the Michaels heel turn. Then we get this middle piece where it's like Michaels is going all in now, brings in Rude, has this great brawl. And then next week, we get the huge angle at the end of the night to kick off Ground Zero, to really get us to Ground Zero. So it's a cool little 3-week story of Shawn's heel turn coming out of SummerSlam. It's really well done.
Yeah, 7.5 for me. Very good show. To me, really carried by both the tag match and then the opening promo tag match and the closing main event. So kind of those 3 bookended events were all very successful.
All right, combo awards. So Raw gets the win here. So they're first in a month. They won a couple weeks after Stampede. Actually, was it the night after Stampede? Michael's Blockbuster. It was the 21st. No, it's the 2 weeks after Stampede.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So they win about once a month right now. They won June 23rd, July 21st, now August 11th. So, just picking up the pace. Best match, obviously, was Mankind Michaels for the night. Yeah. For a moment, I'm okay going Sting with Hogan if you want. I think, no, you want to go Rude?
I think Rude's debut.
Okay, all right. I would have been okay because I like the crowd going nuts for Sting calling out, but Rude's a big deal. Better commentary, I went Raw. Usually it's Nitro for me to lay up, but I don't know. Bobby was kind of off. I'm kind of sick of the fucking headache and like I don't know. Like tonight was plugging tickets all night. Like it just wasn't their best work. And I thought Vince and Ross were good here on this night. Hyping things up.
Okay.
Star of the night to me is Shawn Michaels. All right. I liked the Outsiders of Nitro, but ratings winner obviously is Nitro.
Yeah, pretty good ratings actually too. I mean, it's down from the week before, but still the biggest number that Nitro had ever landed, running opposed, at least for an hour. So they drew, let me get back down here, they drew a 3.8. So they were 4.4 the week before, 3.8. So a little bit of a dip, but again, that's still the strongest number they've ever drawn, period. And then obviously opposed is their strongest number. And then Raw's a 2.9, which is not awful. They're certainly like they had a stretch from 526 through 728 where they never got above 2.7. So I would say the floor of Raw you're starting to see kind of slowly go up, but also you're seeing that with Nitro too. So I think and it's something we talk about, like that it's interesting that 97 creatively may be like the zenith for both companies in a lot of ways. You see that with the ratings, like even in like 98 and 99, Nitro's still drawing better ratings than it does now, which is crazy. But I think you are starting to see more just in general wrestling fans as the overall
it's starting to pop up,
getting bigger a little bit. Yeah,
and it sucks for Raw because like they're getting some momentum, and now they're gonna go dark for 2 weeks.
Yeah. We'll get to those Nitro ratings, but they're monsters. So that was
I mean they're unopposed for 2 big weeks. It harkens back to 95 when they were debuting.
Yeah.
All right, so all time that's Raw's 21st win for us. So Nitro is 73, Raw 21. Pay-per-views 14-8 for WCW. We're gonna have a new gimmick going forward here, and if you're watching on YouTube, it's definitely worth looking up at your screen because we're gonna have Chad's worst match of the night. What do you got from either side? What was your worst match?
I think we can go ahead and safely give it to the Putski mess tonight.
All right, there you go. That's the Chad Campbell official. That match shocked of the night. So, of course, be sure to keep an eye on that on the YouTube and the Patreon. All right, that'll do it. Great episode, Chad. I loved diving into this week. One of my favorite weeks of the wars. Again, this Raw was like.
Is this the first week you remember, like Marty Sleece?
Yeah, definitely. No, but this Raw was my life. Like, I was working. This is my first job I had around now. I hadn't started Stop and Shop yet. That was a few weeks out. I was working at some like dental insurance company doing God knows what, like just helping file and bill or whatever. So like, so my whole day was consumed thinking about like, and I remember like being ready for this Raw. Like, could not wait to get the fuck out of work, get home, and be ready to watch this night. The Rumors of Rude, the Mankind Michaels match. Like, I was all in. So very exciting times for sure. That job I only lasted like maybe 6 weeks of that job before I tapped out. It was terrible. So there you go. All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. We will be talking the 8/18 Raw and Nitro.
First Nitro I ever attended. Yep.
There you go. All right, we'll talk about that. It's essentially our go home Raw, official Raw for Ground Zero, even though we'll have 2 more weeks of shit to cover for WWF, but that's their final Raw. A month from now, we'll be on the Clash, so that'll be fun. That's the last Clash ever, and it's a good one. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll keep chugging along. This is our last episode of 2025. So I want to thank everyone for joining us and being part with us here on the North South Connection in 2025. We had a big year, like on YouTube and everywhere else, like big numbers. We appreciate everyone's dedication, sharing it, spreading it, whatever. Join us, stay with us in 2026. We appreciate it. Join the free Patreon we mentioned earlier. Smell the napalm. We're out. Talk to you next year. Goodbye.